Welcome to another video review. Today I'm going to talk about Ranger 8 1.1 to 8 by 24. It's a new scope. It was introduced this year, and I will start with a small introduction of the brand itself. So Steiner, it's one of the biggest producer of binoculars in Europe. They go way back to 1947. So they were really famous for all of their binoculars, for hunting use, for marine use. They're still one of the, I would say, market leaders in marine use binoculars, and also normally for the military binoculars. Later, Steiner was incorporated into Beretta Group. So after that time, they started to produce many military products. And they had for the last 10 years or something like that, they had I would say, wide range of rifle scopes for the military. So going into the market of hunting scopes was quite natural. So they started in, I think, around 2013, something like that, if I remember correctly, with Steiner Night Hunter scopes. These scopes were, they went immediately straight into the premium segment. They costed around 2,500 euros. And they competed against Swarovski Z6, Leica Magnus, and Zeiss V8. Honestly speaking, the Night Hunters, they were a flop. They were not really successful because it was their first rifle scope, and going immediately into the highest class, it was almost like a suicide for Steiner. So later, I think 2017 or something like that, they started with a Ranger series of rifle scopes. They started with a 4x zoom Ranger scopes, which were a great hit and a great success. So basically they conquered the market around 1,000 euros. In 2021, so last year, they started with a Ranger 4 series of binoculars, which were even better than the previous ones, and I consider them best buy in 1,000 euros price class. After that, they came out with the Ranger 6 rifle scopes, two models, 1 to 6. This is this one, 1 to 6 Ranger, and 3 to 18 by 56. And they were a blast. I think they're one of the best scopes in their price class. We are talking around 1,500 euros. And really not a lot of competition can stand up with them. Really modern, great design, great reticles, really good optical performance, and so on. So now in 2022, they came out with the Ranger 8. And when we talked about them, when I visited their factory, and they showed all the models and so on, there are basically 4 models in this series, even though here you can see many more of them, because some models, basically all models except the lower one, the 1 to 8, can be ordered either with a BDC turret or without. So I was a bit skeptical about their price point because I thought it's too low for an 8x zoom scope. But now when we finally got these scopes, I understand their pricing position much better. So I will talk a little bit about this later, but let's go through the physical properties of the scope. So the scope is around 290 millimeters long, quite a long scope. It weighs 500 grams. 510 grams, so it's basically of the same weight as most of the competition. It's nitrogen filled, it can be operated from -25 to +65 degrees Celsius, it's shockproof, it's waterproof, everything what you expect from a scope like this. 30mm tube, no parallax adjustment normally, just the side turret is for the illumination system. It's powered by CR2032 normal batteries, and it comes with really nice lens caps. So this come as standard because usually for the Ranger 6 and for the Ranger 4 you have to buy them separately. So this is a really nice addition for the Ranger 8. They're made in USA, since the Beretta Group also owns Burris, and they come with a 10 years warranty. The servicing is done, however, in Germany. And probably most of you know that Steiner is really famous for their warranty repairs and their after-sales service. So I expect nothing different from this scope. So the reticle is in the second focal plane. It's a German 4 reticle, only one option, and it has an illumination with an optical fiber inside of the reticle. So the illumination is really small and at the same time really bright. It is completely daytime bright, so this scope can be easily used with both eyes open on driven hunts, and it's made for it. It also has an I would say a really simple illumination adjustment. So you go all the way here to 6, so the 6th level of intensity is still for low light, then from 7 onwards all the way to 11 it's daytime bright. Every setting in between there is a additional setting which turns the illumination off, so you're always able to leave the illumination really close to your favorite setting or for most appropriate for that time of hunt. So the turrets are normally capped, really small. There are single turn turrets with a hard zero stop. You can see it here. So it's stop, it's a hard zero stop, and then it goes all the way to the other side, 6.5 mils, so 65 centimeters of travel. All in total, this turret has a, well, not the turret, the scope has an internal adjustment of more than 2 meters in elevation and windage. It's really interesting design that it has a zero stop and it has a single turn turret, and I like it really a lot. The zero stop can be reset so that you remove these 2 screws, pull them off, and then you can also check one other video on our YouTube channel where it's described how to set the zero stop on these scopes. Okay, if we talk about the optics, so the magnification range on this scope is 1 to 8, so it's a really wide angle scope for driven hunts. And it has a 24mm objective lens, like majority of scopes of this type. It offers roughly 37.8 meters of field of view, which honestly speaking is not the best, even though it is also not really bad. It's more than decent, I would say, but some people would expect more. But at the price point of 1,800 euros, honestly speaking, this is quite decent. The only I would say remark is that their 1 to 6 model has a little bit bigger field of view, like for 1 meter, something like that, or 1.5 meters more, around 40 almost. That's an interesting fact. And normally the light transmission, they say it's around 90% on, I would say, majority of wavelengths, even though on this scope it's not really that important. The eye relief is 95 millimeters, so almost 10 centimeters, and the eye box, I would say, is acceptable. It's not the best in class, not even near, but honestly speaking, for an 8x zoom scope for a price of 1,800 euros, it's acceptable. So at the end, I always go through sweet and sour of each product, and now with this review I'll also mention some of the competitors and how this product compares to them. So if we start with the positives, it's an 8x zoom scope from a premium European brand, and it costs 1,800 euros, so it's really affordable, because we know that Zeiss offers 8x zoom scopes, Swarovski offers 8x zoom scopes, Blaser offers 8x zoom scopes, but this one is, I would say, 600 euros or 800 euros more affordable than those mentioned before. So definitely the price point, it's for an 8x zoom scope, it's quite remarkable. It is true, however, that this scope doesn't wish to compete with a, I would say, Swarovski Z8 or a Zeiss V8 or a Blaser Infinity. This is also the reason why the field of view is a little bit smaller, why the edge sharpness is a little bit worse than those top class, premium, most expensive scopes, but well, this one is 800 euros less expensive. What I also like is the illuminated dot in the reticle and the whole illumination system. It works really well. It's really daytime bright, and the dot is small and precise. Really nice. Single turn turrets with a zero stop. This is again something very rare on a scope for 1,800 euros. Usually it costs much more. Included lens caps. This is something what's nice, even though I don't particularly like the design. I would say they're too robust, but still you get them in your package, and for this price it's a really big plus. I would also say that even though the scope is quite long, if I can show you how much longer it is than the Ranger 6, you can see it here, it's quite a bit longer. Still the weight is not problematic. 500 grams of weight, it's not really that much. So what could have been done better? I would definitely say field of view. They could stretch that field of view out to 40 meters and they would be even more competitive. I would also say edge sharpness could have been done better, especially when you compare them with top-notch, I would say with Swarovski Z8 or Zeiss V8 or something like that. Okay, I understand almost 1,000 euros more, but still the edge sharpness is not the same. I also think so it's, let's say for the Ranger 6 or Ranger 4, it's no problem that they are made in the USA. For 8x zoom scope, 2,000 euros almost, and on a price point, I would say all other competitors are made in Europe. So I would say this could have been done differently, especially since Steiner produces all their military scopes or tactical scopes in Europe. They could also produce their 8x zoom hunting scopes in Europe. I also think that the fact that there is no rail option is something where they could improve. And for this scope particularly, not for other scopes in this series, because they have 3 different scopes also in Ranger 8, so 2 to 16, 3 to 24, and 4 to 32. I'm talking just 1 to 8. I think that they're too close to 1 to 6 in terms of price and quality and everything else, because honestly speaking, on a 1 to something scope, 1 to 6, 1 to 8 and something like that, the only real important is how the scope performs at 1 time magnification. And these 2 scopes are almost identical. I would even say that maybe Ranger 6 is a bit better. So yeah, you're getting an 8x zoom scope here, you're getting 2 times power more, so you're getting an 8x magnification instead of 6 top magnification, but on 1, when this scope will be used mostly, I would say Ranger 6 is really close, and that 300 euros of price difference is so sometimes hard to justify. So I'm already talking a little bit about competition. So the main competition of this scope comes directly from the same brand, so Ranger 6. What about other competitors? I would say that this one is probably the one that Steiner should be feared the most. So it's a 46 scope. Again, only 6x zoom, not an 8x zoom, but optically it's much better. Honestly speaking, it's also a little bit cheaper, not much, but a little bit. I would say 100 euros cheaper. And to the Steiner's favor, it doesn't offer 8x zoom, but at 1x zoom, it's optically a little bit better. It has a wider field of view, it has a little bit better edge sharpness and center sharpness. Steiner does have a better illumination than this Leica. The illumination of Leica is just 9 settings, and it's not with an optical fiber. So it's a close call, but I would say this is a really tough competitor for the Ranger 8, even though it's not an 8x zoom. Swarovski Z6, similar scope, much more expensive, so it's not really in this class. It's 200 euros more expensive, and it's a 6x zoom scope, not an 8x zoom scope. Blaser B2, it's, I would say, very close. It's also 100 euros cheaper than this one, and I would say close. Even though if you are going 100 euros cheaper, then go with a 46, I would say. That would be a good choice. Normally, with all of these scopes which I mentioned, you're not getting an 8x zoom and you're not getting an 8x magnification. So even if you do a lot of driven hunts, but then on occasions you would like to use these scopes on a little bit longer ranges, you are getting an advantage with an 8x magnification over the competitors which I described. When we talk about 8 times zoom scopes in this class, 2,000 euros, 1,800 euros, there are no other. Swarovski Z8, Zeiss V8, Blaser Infinity, and similar scopes, they're all 800 euros more expensive, or even 1,000 euros more expensive. So what are my final thoughts? I would say a really great scope for the price point, especially in terms of build quality and after sales services. I believe that this scope will be, the Steiner will service it for the next 30 years or more, because they're really good in servicing. I would also say that all in all, you're getting a product which justifies its price, even though I would say that this 1 to 8 model is probably the weakest one in the whole series of Ranger 8. And I think if they would lower the price for 100 euros, they would be in a sweet spot. Honestly speaking, for 1,700 euros, they would be really in a sweet spot, because then a lot of people would say, okay, I will not go with the Ranger 6, I will pay 200 euros more for this one. And they would be, I would say, very similarly priced to 46 and Blaser B2. So again, all of those people who would say, I prefer 8 times zoom, they would go for this scope. So I think I covered all the bases. If I have forgotten something, please use the comments below. And if you have any additional questions, just send us an email. Thank you for watching. See you in the next review.